Parents, Deacon John Wilson here, Education Enrichment Director of West Angeles Church. That's the church behind me. I appreciate your support. This video was first being done for parents of class of 2012 who are getting ready to contemplate their decisions for college. And I'm particularly concerned that you know about some of the things going on in these campuses that you might want to look into that might affect your decision. In fact, I just did a video on making sure your college isn't too woke. And we talked about wokeness. And I mentioned in there the upcoming trial of Jussie Smollett, and that I was pretty sure they would find him guilty of fabricating a hoax that he was attacked by pro Trump white men on a Chicago street in the dead of winter at 2 a.m. in the morning or something like that. And the story didn't add up, and the police found out it was a hoax. But the DA at the time dropped the case. I'll talk about that on my holythinkers.edu channel that's launching, and you guys can see about that over there if you haven't followed the story very close. But I'm particularly concerned here from an EEP perspective that you understand the things that are going on college campuses. And my thesis is that college campuses are not racist at all. There are activists on these campuses that will make you think it is, and it's really not. And I definitely want to make sure I cover some of the implications of that and what it really means. I think it's important that I cover that as the enrichment director and as you make your decisions for college. Don't know if you're aware, but there have been many, many hoaxes in colleges. So let me, with no further ado, let me just show you the article I'm going to post at the bottom of the page for you later. Right down below, I'll post a link to this article. I think it's the best article I saw on the Jussie Smollett ruling the other day. He's found guilty of falsely reporting a hate crime. Um, hate crimes, when they do exist, are bad enough. But when they're falsely reported, they really are counterproductive. And I think somewhat evil because they seem to indicate that we need to create evil or someone needs to create evil where there really is not any evil. So I definitely have a problem with that as a man of God and a deacon in the church. And even as a Christian believer, you should have a problem with it. Even as a rational person, even if you are progressive and want to see a lot more racial improvement in our society, this has got to concern you. So you'll want to read through this story. It's pretty comprehensive, does a good job of telling what happened from a very independent position. I think it is surprisingly honest, I think, as you go through the article. All right. So you'll want to do that to get some background and perspective on my comments coming up. But the Jussie Smollett situation didn't really surprise me. It occurred in early 2019 in January. Seems like a million years ago now, with the pandemic having happened in the meantime. Um, and I didn't believe it right away because it sounded too much, especially with the news, like some campus college hoaxes that I'm going to tell you about in a minute. I'm going to prove to you that racial hoaxes are really very common in college life. I couldn't even document all of them, but I'm going to cover some of the more significant ones for you. And you can see for yourself that it's pretty common that people are contrive these hoaxes. And of course, I'll have hypothesized about what it means and why they do it. But that's the main purpose of this video today. Like I say, I'll put the link to this story in the bottom just below. All right. So let's go ahead and get into, I put together a little list here for you with links in it. And I'm going to also link you to this as well. You'll be able to click this up as a JPEG document and be able to link to these sites. But it's pretty common, these things. I actually didn't cover all the ones that have recently occurred, but I covered some notable ones that you'll want to become aware of. Here's one at Texas A&M. This particular hoax. This one really caused me great concern. This particular one. Texas A&M police say a student who reported racist notes placed them there himself. And it tells the story of a young man who reported that some racist notes were placed on his windshield, but yet there was a video camera. It's funny how there's video cameras in a lot of these stories that confirm it. That the video camera confirmed the only one that was by the car long enough was him. He came out and came back in, and he had white papers in his hand. He never has officially admitted to it, but he's gotten a lawyer and he's lawyered up and he won't talk about it anymore. But it's a very interesting story. I'll try to put some of these links in the bottom of so many of them. Matter of fact, I'll just include the document like I told you. So this story was just very recent. And July of 2020, as a matter of fact, is when this one occurred, a little over a year ago. You might want to look into that. All right, I'll have more to say about that one maybe a little later because there's some aspect there. Here's another one that you might know about. Here's three colleges. This is an interesting article if you get a chance to read it. It's really quite interesting. It's in higher education. I get this online. It's for people like me who help students go to college. Let's see. Why does such incidents seem to occur year after year? How should colleges handle them? So that's a real issue of colleges. I've talked to college administrators about it. When threatening notes, this is in 2012, but you'll get the point. When threatening notes that targeted minority students started showing up around Trinity International University in 2005, administrators spoke to the campus, conferred with police, and they brought the FBI in. The whole thing was fake. Things didn't quite go that far for Central Connecticut State University, though, after a student claimed to be receiving notes in her dormitory room that attacked her for being a lesbian. So it's not only racial, but hundreds of students did not hold a rally for her in March. Did hold a rally for, they did hold a rally for, I remember the story, long before police discovered earlier this month that thanks to a camera in the hall closet, which was installed after one initially placed in the room was turned off, she was slipping notes under her own door. Imagine that, slipping notes under her own door. All right. These are the kind of stories that have been occurring, right? And it's definitely a problem. And you see these various college people that are commenting on it. Here goes. Here's one here. But many aim to bring social issues to light. That was the case last year at the University of Virginia when a student falsely claimed campus police harassed him because he was Black. After he was discovered, students said he wanted to draw attention to the topic of police misconduct. See, there's an agenda with these hoaxes. I'll talk about that at the end. And there's a lot of comments on here from some counselors to it as well. At Williams College, however, an unsolved hate crime that occurred last year is still thought by some to have been a hoax perpetrated by a minority student. There, someone wrote, I'm just going to quote it just the way it is, all niggers must die, across a wall outside of the campus building, prompting the college to cancel all classes and athletic practices for a day, and students to march in solidarity to attend a speech by the college president and participate in an open mic session on racism. However, Williams investigated every possible lead and got no reason to believe it, and has no reason to believe it was a hoax, but it's still open and not active. It's not active. It was revealed later, of course, you read on in the article, that two students were overheard saying that they had planned it, but there was never any charges against them. So, there's a lot of stuff here. And then, there's some really well-known ones that occurred way back, maybe 15 years ago. The Duke lacrosse athletes were accused of raping a woman, and it went all the way to trial, and they were acquitted. And then she admitted she had made up the claim that it occurred. So this is something that goes on. Let's look at some other ones here. You get the idea here? So that's why when I heard about the Smollett case, I wasn't particularly surprised. This is one that might reverberate if you know the Smollett case. Now let's see if we can see something. Albion College, yeah, that's one that just happened recently. That was about 4 months ago. The April incident, Albion College, a Black student, they're admitted to writing phrases such as "die," N-word, die, and let's kill all N-words on this campus. They always seem to have the N-word in these things, and of course, it was found that it wasn't true because he had written them on there himself because there was a camera, again, a video camera captured him doing that. What a very unfortunate story for Albion College. And they had all kind of protests there and everything. Then it come find out it was a hoax. And again, you know, these kind of things I knew about. In fact, the writer of this article says, "Hey, this is the same thing happening on college campuses." This article was produced in October of 2021. Not too many more here. I just want to give you an idea, parents, why I say you need to know what's going on your campuses. Not, and again, let me make the point. It's not to say if there's a hoax that happens at campus, don't go there. Look at how the campus handles it. Look at whether they followed the facts and you know didn't allow people to jump to conclusions. You know, that's something you need to look at. A lot of my students got radicalized at one school by one of these events. They've never been the same. They even assumed that the truth that came out wasn't true. There's some older examples here you can look at in the College Fix. In fact, I think over here in the College Fix, which has a whole a best of list of hate crimes from New Jersey to Wyoming, they call it. These are back in 2014 in that time frame, 2014 to 2016. There's the hangman graffiti at Grand Valley State University, graffiti of a hangman was found to be done by students in the dorm rather than black students in the dorm. Transgender student, let's see, I'm trying to look at this. There's a whole lot of it. Vassar College, yeah, I remember that one. And there's one about GW in here somewhere where a couple students hung a noose, and wrote swastikas in the corridor. And it was two black students and a Jewish student that did that. And that was found again by video camera on the outside. They entered the building. There was a camera in the hallway. They had plenty of time to do it. And they admitted that they had done that. So there's a lot of these cases. Again, I have a whole sheet of these you can look at on your own. Just be aware that these things it's quite common that there are hoaxes, and that we should teach our students to not pass judgment till they have all the facts if these things occur in the campus, and to make sure that they just keep their priorities straight while they're in college. The Air Force Academy one, I guess I'll talk a little about Dennis Prager's article, but I do want to end with the Air Force one. You remember the story of the Air Force Academy, right? Okay. An unnamed cadet wrote and signed a statement which he attempted to explain his actions, and where he wrote racial slurs outside of his and four of the cadets' rooms and tried to blame it on white students. He says he wasn't himself. He doesn't know why he did it. We can speculate on the reasons for that, but I think one of the things it indicates, you can read about it all here. What was written in the letters is really profane and atrocious stuff that was written. And by the way, this they don't mention it in this article, but he was put out of the Air Force Academy for what he did in this case. So, why does these things occur? I mean, it's pretty amazing that they occur because it points out, as it does, as was pointed out in this article here, I'm going to show you. As was pointed out in this article by Dennis Prager, December 9th, 2021. If America is so racist, why are there so many hoaxes? I guess that's the point, because there's not a lot of stuff happening. Some people feel, who are the activists in the movement, feel they have to create the news by having these hoaxes. Students, if you're hearing this, just stay out of this kind of stuff. Don't get involved in this hoax stuff. I saw even at Howard University, sure, they were having tremendous housing issues there that led some students to live out in tents, but it's been greatly exaggerated. I talked to some people at Howard, it definitely was a problem, but there's been exaggeration of that. There are hoaxes about that as well. There's hoax videos of students showing their rooms. It's not even a room at Howard. Okay. So we got to, teach our students, and students, if you're listening, stay out of this kind of stuff. It's not good stuff to do. It's a very sad thing that can occur. You can read it in this article by Dennis Prager. So I'm gonna make sure that you get a link to the news story I had at the bottom of this video. Go down and click it right below. Also, don't forget to also click on this document with the links in it. But don't forget to click subscribe and click like. I really appreciate that if you do those two things to increase our visibility online. God bless you. I hope that helped a little bit. I gotten 3 or 4 calls uh, about one of these hoaxes. I never got back to the person. Actually, there were 2 or 3, and I didn't get back to the main person who called. And I realized I hadn't when I saw the Smollett verdict. I thought it'd be a good time to do that. God bless you all. I have a couple other videos I'm going to put out later this week on some great issues for you on the trade tech classes that are coming up and some new technology certification classes through a new partner of ours, LA County. And we'll talk about that in a video coming up real soon. God bless you. Bye bye now.